Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. The Outsiders is a book about a boy that is 14 years old named Ponyboy, who is a member of the Greasers. Pony has two brothers, Derry, who is 20 years old, and Soda Pop, who is 16 years old. Their parents died in a car crash, so Derry is in charge of Soda Pop and Pony. This book is about two rival gangs, the East Side Greasers and the West Side Rich Kids, called the Sox. At the beginning of the book, Pony is walking home from the movies, and a blue Mustang pulls up. It was the Sox. They beat Pony and could have killed him, but his gang, the Greasers, saved him. Some other people in the Greasers are Two-Bit Matthews. He's 6 foot flat and likes fights. Johnny is a 16-year-old boy. He's pretty much the gang's pet, but they all respect him. Then there's Dally Winston. He is the one that's older, and he is the one that always goes to jail for being a troublemaker. And then there's Steve, who is really good with cars, and he is Soda's best friend. In the beginning of the book, Dally takes Pony and Johnny to the movies. When they get there, Dallas starts bugging these two girls named Sherry and Marcia, who date Bob and Randy, members of the Sock gang. The girls like Johnny and Pony, and they start talking and become good friends. After the movie, on the way home, the girls and the Greasers walk to the car together, but they are stopped by a blue Mustang driven by the Sock members. The Sox jump out and the gangs almost fight. Cherry stops the fight and goes home with the Sock members. Two-Bit goes off somewhere while Johnny and Pony go on the vacant lot and have a pack of smokes. They are looking at the stars and then fall asleep. Johnny's parents couldn't care less about him and don't notice when he comes or leaves. Ponyboy gets home late and Derry slaps him because he was worried about him. Ponyboy is upset about this and he runs away to the vacant lot to meet up with Johnny. Johnny calms him down with a cigarette. Then the Mustang showed up and the Sox jumped out and said, "Need a bath, Greaser." The Sox and Greasers started a fight and the Sox are drowning Pony in the water. Johnny had to think fast. Pony woke up coughing and gasping for air with Johnny next to him. Pony asked what happened. Johnny told him, "I killed the Sock. I stabbed him to death with my switchblade. He was going to drown me. I know I'm on America's wanted list, but we need to get help." They went to Dally's house and asked for a loaded gun, some money, and a jacket. They had to go to this old cathedral to hide out. Johnny and Pony had to cut their hair. They did not look like themselves, and they did not feel like themselves. One morning while hiding out, they woke up and heard someone. It was Dally Winston, the one who knew where they were. Pony got a letter from Soda telling him Derry did not mean to hit him and to come back home. They left the cathedral to go to lunch. On the way back to the cathedral, Johnny was thinking of turning himself in for murder. When they got back, the cathedral was on fire with the kids trapped inside. Pony and Johnny knew it was their fault because they left a lighted cigarette in there. The Greasers went inside to save the children. Johnny and Pony began throwing the kids out the back window to save them, and Johnny gets hurt. Pony helps Johnny get out of the cathedral, and the last thing Pony remembers was a huge slap on the back. Pony woke up in the ambulance, still wondering what happened. He asked the ambulance man what happened, and the man said, "You just saved a bunch of little kids from dying. As for your friends, one's okay. The older one just had some burns on his arm. The other one isn't looking too good. If he does not die, he'll be crippled for his life." Pony was devastated about Johnny. The next day, Pony came home from the hospital. There was a big rumble fight with the Sox and the Greasers. The Sox knew they had to win. The Greasers knew they had to win for Dally and Johnny. It was all the West Side Rich Kids versus Two-Bit Matthews, Derry, Soda, Pony, Steve, and another Greaser gang. Everyone was injured, but the Greasers won and the Sox ran away. Dally and Pony went to go find Johnny at the hospital. Johnny's mom came to see him, but he said not to let her in because his parents never cared for him. Johnny's last words were, "Stay gold, Ponyboy, stay gold." And the pillow sank and he died. No one could believe it. This was the first time Dally ever cared for somebody. Also given the fact that he's dead. It was too much for him it was too much for Dally, so he went and robbed a grocery store. He called the gang to come hide him, but they were too late. The police got Dally in a corner. He pulled something from his waist, and the police shot him and killed him. In the end, Ponyboy is still a Greaser, but tries to make his life better. S.E. Hinton was born on July 22nd, 1950 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She attended Will Rogers High School, which is where she began to write her first novel, The Outsiders. This book was her most successful novel, and she used money she earned from it to help her attend the University of Tulsa and graduate with an education degree in 1970. She currently lives in Tulsa with her husband David Inhofe, a software engineer who she married in the summer of 1970 after meeting him in her freshman biology class at college. In August 1983, they had a son named Nicholas that eventually went to college and worked in the movie Ice Age Meltdown. Besides writing, one of S.E. Hinton's main hobbies is horseback riding. She's a very private person and still lives a quiet life as a writer in Tulsa. S.E. Hinton was a natural at writing. She began writing short stories when she was a child. When she was in high school, S.E. Hinton was inspired to write The Outsiders based on her different experiences with different classes of people at school. Her real name is Susan Alois Hinton, but because of how she wrote The Outsiders with the narrator being a boy, she used the initials S.E. She has had several movies made out of her novels, which include The Outsiders, Tex, and Rumblefish. On these movies, she has served as a consultant and sometimes has been on the screen in a small role. In 1979, S.E. Hinton received the Margaret Edwards Award, which is presented by the Young Adult Services, and was the first ever to receive that award. In 1997, Hinton received the Arel Gibson Lifetime Achievement Award from the Oklahoma Center for the book The Outsiders. In 1998, Hinton was inducted into the Oklahoma Writers Hall of Fame at the Oklahoma Center for Poets and Writers of Oklahoma State University. The Outsiders has been challenged several times by different school districts around the country. One of the biggest reasons given for banning this book, or challenging the book, is because of the teenage violence. Another reason The Outsiders was challenged was because all the kids are from bad homes and it's a bad influence to some kids. Also, kids in this book were smoking, drinking, and doing things that most kids should not be doing. The book was challenged in South Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1986 because of drug and alcohol abuse, and the characters were being from broken homes. It was challenged in 1992 in Boone, Iowa because it glamorized smoking and drinking and used excessive violence. In 2001, a middle school in West Virginia challenged the book over its focus on gang and gang fights. Because S.E. Hinton is a private person, there is not information on what her reaction is to being censored. But in some interviews, she seems proud of the fact that she is able to make a direct connection to young people. My reaction when I'm trying to ban the book is that I was upset, but it does not make sense in a way that they should ban it for some age groups. The book The Outsiders, but it does make sense in a way that they should ban it for some age groups. The book The Outsiders did not have things that can be tolerated by parents like swearing, killing, smoking, and blood and fights. I think it should not be banned, though, because the message of loyalty and friendship and hope is a good one, even though parts of the book are inappropriate. I think people shouldn't be able to ban books completely, but maybe they should be able to ban them for certain age groups. For example, maybe The Outsiders would be banned for children 10 and under. Since it was a really good book according to all audience who have read the book, kids 10 and up and adults should be able to read this book. If a book is not very violent but says some swear words every once in a while, it should not be a banned book. If some guy is fighting, it is ridiculous to ban a book over something little like that. However, if a book is really terrible and not appropriate, there should be a way for parents to limit who gets to read that book. Did I tell you my works cited?
No, definitely not.
Hi, I'm Cameron Renner, a student here at Canterbury, and I do not support the banning of The Outsiders at our school. This book has some strong positive messages such as loyalty, friendship, and staying together. The kids in this story had rough lives, but it is also a story about loyalty and that you can find people to trust even if you don't have your parents around. Sometimes life isn't always happy, with no problems. Some people lose their parents, some people come from broken homes, or their parents just don't care about them. For these kids, a story that has these messages about friendship and loyalty might mean more to them because it's a story that they can relate to, because they do have difficult lives. Even though this story has a lot of negative themes like swearing and gangs and violence, there is still a positive message that can reach somebody that doesn't have a life that's going so perfectly. But the number one reason that I feel this book should be banned is because of the freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is very important because if you don't have it, you can't express your opinion on something without getting in trouble. People shouldn't have the right to ban books because not all people think the same, and it's really hard to decide where to draw the line about what is good and what is terrible. Some parents might be okay with their child reading this, and other parents might not. The most recent controversy over banned books is over the Harry Potter series. Some people want these book bans because of the evil witchcraft that they talk about. These people feels like it goes against their religious beliefs. Although I can see their point of view, other people could just see Harry Potter as just a fun book. So who should get to decide if a book should be banned? I don't think it should be the schools or the city government making these choices. I think that parents should be the ones who get to decide if a book is inappropriate, goes against their beliefs, or just not worth reading.
Good job.